Hello. For my park, I chose to research the Congaree National Park. The Congaree is one of the smaller and newer national parks in the national park system. The park itself is located in South Carolina, about 18 miles from the big city of Columbia, South Carolina. As you can see by the map on the right, the park's southern boundary line is the Congaree River. The park makes up 26,000 acres of the river's floodplain. This is a big part of what makes the Congaree Park so unique. What's really fascinating about the park is the it's old growth bottomland trees. And it's what makes what was made it able to be designated as a national park. Some species of trees found in Congaree are cypress, loblolly pine, sweet gum, and water hickory. The national park protects 11,000 of the remaining 12,000 acres of old growth bottomland trees in North America. Prior to European contact with the continent, bottomland forests made up about 15 million acres of the southeast part of North America, which now the Congaree is the largest forest area that remains. The Congaree is also home to about 20 champion trees. The American Forest Champion Trees is a registry of the largest trees found in American soil. And the Congaree has more trees that are believed to meet the requirements for the designation in the upcoming years. Outside of the giant trees found in the park, the Congaree has many different types of flora and fauna. The park is home to deer, bobcats, surprisingly armadillos, turkeys, otters, alligators, many amphibian species because of it being a floodplain, and thousands of bird species make home there. The picture on the left is of rosette spoonbill, which can be found in Congaree. The range of plants found within the park range from very common flowers like the yellow jessamine in the photo on the left, which is South Carolina's state flower, to many unique and endangered plant species that the park is trying to protect and keep rigorous count of. The region that is now Congaree National Park has a long history with human interaction, like many of the American national parks, especially on the East Coast, where the first colonial settlements happened. The floodplain was home to the Congaree Indians, who utilized the forest, river, and the overall nutritious bottomland area to hunt, fish, and gather because of the abundance of resources found in the biodiverse floodplain. This is, of course, where the name of the river, forest, and park come from. The first European contact with the region and the Congaree Native Americans came in 1540 when Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto explored the region and set up a camp there. The population of the Congaree Indians was decimated by a smallpox epidemic in the 1700s when more European settlers moved inland and started encroaching on the Congaree region. A ferry was established in 1786 to cross the Congaree River, and after exhausting resources in the north, loggers moved south and into the Congaree forest in the late 1800s and early 1900s. From 1898 to 1914, the Santee River Cypress Logging Company extracted hardwood trees from the region. And after renewed logging in the 1960s by the company, efforts were started to protect the forest. The man in the photo on the left is Harry Hampton, who was the leading advocate during the 1960s and 1970s for the preservation of Congaree Forest. He even has a building dedicated to him within the park boundary. He and his fellow conservationists established Congaree Swamp National Preservation Association in 1972, which lobbied Congress to create legislation to protect the Congaree region. The funny thing about the name Congaree Swamp is the Congaree isn't actually a swamp because it doesn't have water full time. It's just a floodplain because the water only comes up when the river is flooded. After much effort, the Congaree region was protected by legislation in 1976 and was established as the Congaree Swamp National Monument. Congaree's federal designation was changed again to a national wilderness in 1988. The Congaree was finally established as a national park in 2003 during the 108th Congresses with the Congress National Park Act of 2003. This park establishment is very recent. I was really surprised to find out how long it took for that region to be established as a park by how unique the trees in that region are, by how large they are and how old. By the picture on the right, you can see three men counting the rings of a cut down tree that was most likely logged by the company that owned it prior to the park's protection. But they were trying to use the old growth as a way to get it designated as a national park. The issues facing the park have mostly to do with the environment. A big problem that most national places all over the world are facing is climate change, and Congaree is no different. The change in climate has messed with animal mating seasons and plant bloom cycles, throwing the biosphere off balance. And runoff from nearby roads, homes, and farms pollute the park's waters, leading to trees and plants dying, not getting the proper nutrition, and like fertilizers poisoning the root systems. Also, human divergence of waterways have lowered the water table of the floodplain, leading to, again, the biosphere being thrown off, not as many amphibians being able to be hatched. Lower levels mean just less nutrition for the area. Also, the park has a major issue with invasive species. The biggest offenders are feral pigs, as you can see on the image on the left. Feral pigs reproduce quickly. They're highly adaptable and highly destructive to the root system of the old growth trees. They like to burrow, destroying many tree systems in the park. They also carry many diseases that can be passed on to other animals, not of their species. So a lot of populations of deer and bobcats that end up eating the pigs will get sick, and their populations have been lowered. And then just another thing that just faces the park in general is the lack of visitors to the park. The park is very new in designation and is perceived to be tough terrain and kind of swampy, which again, not a swamp, but it's just kind of muggy, lots of mosquitoes. But a lot of the infrastructure put in place for the park does a really good job of circumventing that for the people who do not want to do the challenging trails. But it does have a very low visitor count compared to other national parks located close by on the East Coast, like the Smoky Mountains. But some more interesting facts that I found about Congaree is at the park between mid-May and mid-June, there's an annual synchronous firefly display, which you can see in the picture. This occurs when the fireflies are doing their mating rituals and start flashing at each other. Also, the canopy of the Congaree Forest is one of the tallest deciduous forests in the world. People visiting during the spring and fall can also take part in nighttime owl prowls, listening to barrowed owls late at night. Also, for my research for this, I found a really good documentary that was created in 2008 called The Roots in the River, the story of the Congaree National Park, which tells a really good history of the park. But that is all I have, and if you have any questions, feel free to type them in and I respond. Thank you.